Hello, communication theorists. This week I'm making a separate video for each of your two readings, and I'm starting with the reading by Keyton, the communication research, asking questions, finding answers. And I first want to point your attention to page 7 of that reading, so we can actually skip down a little ways. If you read the rest, that's wonderful, because it's excellent background information, and it should really synthesize well with what you're reading in your communication, in your other communication classes. But I wanted you to look at the goals of research, because it talks about accumulating knowledge through research as a continuous process, and that speaks to the theory building and theory generating process, and how one research study can't answer every single question about an issue or a topic, and that we build on research of others and continue to put one study on the shoulders of other studies, and that research is the process of discovery and explanation. I also wanted you to look in that section where it says that variables are another name for the concepts that we study, and that is right up here, because that's something that we've talked about a little bit, the difference between a theory, a concept, a variable, a model, and that even just those definitions themselves are somewhat theoretical. The next page that I'd like to draw your attention to is page 8. And I want you to look at this section on research and theory. And we have yet another definition of theory. It says, although many definitions exist, as we already know, a theory is a related set of ideas that explains how or why something happens. Formally, a theory is a set of interrelated concepts, definitions, and propositions that present a systematic view of phenomena. It specifies the relationships among the concepts with the objective of explaining and predicting the phenomena being studied. So that brings us back to that idea of explanation, prediction, and control that we have been talking about throughout the semester. And again, our author Keyton here emphasizes this idea that a theory is, here we go, the term theory does not have one precise meaning, that different definitions of the term are used because they promote different approaches to research. And I think that that is a very interesting point, that different approaches to research have different definitions of theory. And then here is one of the most important, probably I would say almost the apex of our entire semester, rests on this statement: the best research is driven by theory, validates a theory, further explains a theory, challenges an existing theory, or aids in the creation of a theory. So theory really is the undergirding of our discipline, because the best research is completely integrated with theory. There are some other things here about theory and research, but we're not going to look at those this week. We will come back to those, and I want to bring you to page 11, where it talks about communication as a social science. Your second question for this week talks about synthesizing the two readings, and it could be a little confusing because one of your readings says that both qualitative and quantitative methods fit under social science, and that's this reading, the Keyton. And then the other reading, the content analysis of the three mass communication research traditions, actually splits quantitative and qualitative separately, and says quantitative is more aligned with social science, and it says qualitative is what they call interpretive studies. So in that question, when I ask you to integrate the readings, I'm asking you to talk about social science in terms of quantitative methods, and then interpretive in terms of qualitative methods. But I want you to integrate what the two readings say about quantitative methods and what the two readings say about qualitative methods. So hopefully that clarifies that a bit. and then the third being critical methods. So in this reading, we see that we have the different approaches, and that the study of communication from the quantitative and qualitative perspectives are both empirical, meaning that they both rely on observations, and that is an important thing for us to note, that they both show knowledge being derived from experiences or observable phenomena, as opposed to critical studies that show knowledge emerging more from internally or from judgments or a value-laden experience with the phenomena. So I think that that's important to note as well. And up here it talks about that critical perspective, the emphasis being on a broader social structure, and so you've got these two different readings having some different things to say about these same phenomena. Then another thing I'd like to point your attention to in page 13 is where we talk about the law of the hammer, also known as Kaplan's law, that one danger a lot of us fall into is the idea of the methodological extremes that we can adopt. That the law of the hammer, you've all probably heard of, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so when you are educated in a more quantitative tradition, then it's easy to look at every question as an opportunity to use a quantitative method. But in reality, no one research method can answer all questions. Really, some methods might draw you in more, they might play to your strengths more, but the question should guide the research. And finally, this reading talks about the ways that we choose our questions in the communication discipline, and I think this is a really interesting section for you to look at as you move into your Pick 3 exercise. So I would read that carefully, and one of my favorite pieces of this is keeping these 3 criteria in mind can help us respond to the so what question. So as you're thinking about your Pick 3 assignment, think about the so what question, and that speaks to some of those criteria we've discussed in our rubric. How is this going to serve us, and how is this going to serve our class? So I hope that you found this video useful, and I'll look forward to recording a brief video on the second reading and seeing you in class on Tuesday. Good luck on your quiz.